All right, I'm really excited to be here. Today, I am chatting with Keisha Simpson. She's our client account manager. I'm on the marketing team, and when I joined GiveCloud, I discovered that Keisha has a pretty interesting background before joining our team. So, we're going to dive into how she started this movement online called Live Life Unfiltered. It received a lot of notice, and I know there are a lot of nonprofits out there that are trying to figure out how to gain more buzz online as more of our donors are moving into the online space. So, Keisha, thank you so much for joining me. How are you?
I'm doing well and I'm happy to be here. Thanks, Sam.
Okay, so before we get started, let's do some introductions. So, Keisha, tell everybody who you are, what you do at GiveCloud, all of the juicy details.
Yeah, my name's Keisha Simpson and I work at GiveCloud. I'm part of the sales team. I'm a client account manager. So I'm helping organizations learn about GiveCloud, what we do, and then help them make an informed decision.
Perfect. Yes, we are always going back and forth talking about the different conversations that you're having, what nonprofits are talking about. I always like to have a pulse on that. So, let's not keep people waiting. I want to talk about Live Life Unfiltered. When I first joined GiveCloud, it was brought to my attention that you started this movement with your sister. So what is Live Life Unfiltered? Tell me about that.
Yeah, so Live Life Unfiltered was a movement I started with my twin sister Tegan back when we were in university, and it's reminding young women that social media is not always what it seems. So making sure that we always remember that behind every perfect video or TikTok or Instagram post, there's still a girl, just a regular girl who also has bad days and insecurities. It's something we all know intuitively. We all know that social media is not actually kind of like the full story, but it's so easy to get caught up in these feeds. So it's really important that we have that reminder out there, that and that we remember that there's always more to someone than just their social media profile.
That's great. And it's one of those things when you're bombarded with the same thing over and over again, your brain starts to question what you knew before. So it's kind of like brainwashing a little bit. So we have to
Slow brainwashing.
slow brainwashing. So that's a great mission. I love it. Now it grew exponentially pretty fast, like across the internet. Can you talk a little bit about how you achieved that growth? Are there like a couple of things that you just know contributed to your ability to go from, okay, we're starting this thing to, oh my God, there are hundreds of people who want to talk to us and lots of people who are following us and we're having a big impact on people's lives. Like what contributed to that growth?
Yeah, so about a year into starting Live Life Unfiltered, we decided to launch the As She Is campaign. And so the As She Is campaign, at the time, TikTok wasn't around, so it was primarily on Instagram. And what the As She Is campaign did is it asked young women to post an unfiltered photo and and include a caption about kind of sharing a side to themselves that they've never shared online before, asking them to be vulnerable and to really help their followers realize that there's more to them than just their perfect social media feed. And then they would take two friends to also do the same. And so we kind of launched that just in our little communities, back back home in like our hometown, and then in our university community, and it went quote unquote viral in those little communities. So everyone started to do it, and like it was pretty cool. Like you would wake up on your phone and there were hundreds of girls that you knew that were your friends or you went to class with, and they were all posting for the first time ever about how their social media wasn't the true story, and how they're always trying to get that perfect photo, or they would spend hours a day editing their photos because they felt so much pressure to be this perfect type of woman. So that's what we did the first year, and it went well. And then the second year, for the next As She Is campaign, what we did is we tried to we took it global. And so we worked with influencers, to ask them to promote the As She Is campaign. And so this, what resulted in the success of the first the first year was really community, right?
Mm,
There was a community of women who understood that it was important to kind of go above and beyond your image and to make sure that we're being authentic and honest with each other about how we actually felt, and um, kind of for the greater good. And then the second year, a lot of that was, to be honest, just a lot of hard work on our end, just really reaching out to a lot of influencers and saying like, hey, promoting the campaign, and doing a good job in storytelling there, making sure that influencers understood the importance of this message, and also just there, you had to figure out a way, right? So thousands of people ask an influencer every single day to do something for them
mhm.
for free, because that's what we were doing. We weren't paying them. So you have to find a way to make your ask stand out in comparison to everyone else. So that's where storytelling came in, and making sure we properly storytold to the influencers to get their involvement.
Perfect. So, I mean, from what I've been told, you got the attention of a lot of people. So, like Prime Minister's wife, Sophie Trudeau. You've got, people from The Bachelorette, Olympic gold medalists, like, like craziness right there. Um, is there, like you say, that storytelling really contributed to that? I don't want to like put you on the spot, but is there a particular way that you positioned things? I know you said it has to be kind of like in their favor and benefit them in some way, but you are asking for something. And so do you think it has something to do with, it's a woman to woman type thing? Is it like an age thing? How did you position it in a way where it was kind of a no-brainer for them to get involved for nothing, really?
Yeah, so we actually tallied up the cost of our campaign if we had paid everyone, and it was
Oh,
uh, well over $1 million. So you understand like that there is a value to what we're asking for. um,
hmm.
and so you had to figure out how to get your message, how to have your message resonate with them. And one major advantage we had was our stories were very similar to a lot of the people we were reaching out to. So Tegan and I, my twin sister and I, both struggled a lot with our body image growing up. And there was a bit of comparison going on there because we were twins, which added another
Mm,
element or layer to it. But under when we were able to come forward and like authentically say like, hey, this is something we've really struggled with, but the really horrible thing is that we're not alone. This is a very common issue, and we know way too many people our age, and well, all ages who are struggling with this. Can you help us spread this message and make sure that we're all aware that like, hey, social media is contributing to anxiety and depression and eating disorders. It was easier because our message tends to resonate quite well with influencers for obvious
yeah,
reasons.
absolutely. So at the end of the day, you weren't afraid to get personal. Like really that's we lack personal connection in a world where technology is taking over. So taking it back to just that human connection is really important.
Yeah, I mean that's exactly what it did. And because what we were asking for them to do was really just to be personal and vulnerable
Yeah.
on social media, which in many instances they had never done before. So I think the only way you can ask that of someone else is if you're willing to do it yourself. So it started with us being vulnerable, and then
Mm.
other people, uh, when you create a safe space, they often feel comfortable to also be vulnerable as well.
I want to go back to something that you said where you and your sister used to compare each other a lot. I remember hearing this when I watched your TEDx talk. So you and your sister did one of those. That's crazy. I don't think I actually know anyone personally who's done that. So I was like, oh, yay, that's fun. How did that happen? Explain that part of the journey.
Yeah, so there's kind of different. We started with small TEDx talks. So
Hmm.
it's easier to get into a small TEDx talk. So that way we built our way up. So we actually did 3 TEDx talks. But when you get your way into a smaller one, it's just easier. There's less people trying out. And then once you had 2 under your belt, it was much easier to get a much larger TEDx talk. So that's kind of how
Okay.
we built our way up. But that happened pretty authentically. There's just a few opportunities. Also just networking. People hear about what we're doing and they're like, oh, and
Hmm.
they're talking, and you've got the chitter chatter going on. And so all of a sudden someone's asking if you want to try out for this TEDx talk, and that spiraled into TEDx Ottawa.
Wow, that's crazy. So we've talked a lot about accomplishments, amazing things that happened as a result of Live Life Unfiltered. But what about setbacks and challenges? Like having this kind of a movement can't just be sunshine and rainbows all the time. So were there any like roadblocks or setbacks when you were on this journey to spread this message as far as as far as it could go?
Yeah, a lot, obviously. Which ones to pick? uh
The ones that come to mind, they may all come to mind.
um it was a lot more work than it looks like. So that was
Mm,
quite exhausting, the amount of hours, because we were also in school at the beginning. So
mm,
balancing all of that was pretty exhausting. And probably the hardest aspect of it, which was more personal, but my sister and I both struggled with our body image, and we started Live Life Unfiltered because it was clear that there was way too many people in general, but especially young women who struggle with their body image, and like it just wasn't okay. Um, but as a result, we ended up spending 24/7 talking about body image, reading about body image and social media, um, like analyzing social media and body image,
mhm,
hearing people's stories. And it can be pretty emotionally exhausting if this is something that you've struggled with. So there was an emotional element there that added a layer of the difficulty, which I eventually, after about 4 years, we just didn't want to continue to be in that space full time.
mhm. It's something that I'm sure a lot of nonprofits can relate to because when it's something that you're so passionate about, you just immerse yourself in it and it can be very emotionally taxing, very mentally draining. So you did this for 4 years. Throughout those 4 years, how did you cope or stay, you know, sane enough to keep going for that period of time? It's a long time to be in the world of struggling with body image just day in and day out. What helped you?
I think we did a pretty bad job. Of course.
Oh, okay. I like the honesty. Look at you being you're just one of the
Yeah,
most authentic
I
people.
would say that we didn't do a great job with that. Like we did give, but we definitely should have not worked as hard as we did maybe at times, and um just taken the pressure off and
Yeah.
all that. So yeah, I would say that in hindsight, I see more areas to improve. But I'm sure we did some things right. We went for walks, and we did exercise is a great.
Fresh air does wonders. Yeah, good. So after Live Life Unfiltered, I'm not sure if there's a gap between Live Life Unfiltered and Give Cloud, but you decided to join the Give Cloud family. and work with nonprofits who have their own missions and their own movements that they're trying to get out to the world. So, what made you want to start working at GiveCloud?
Two reasons. One is a super honest reason. I wanted to pay my bills, so we weren't making any money at Live Life Unfiltered. It was fun, but we were far away from making a paycheck that was livable.
Mm,
So there was definitely an element of making a salary of moving to
yep.
GiveCloud. But GiveCloud was a nice hybrid between making a salary and continuing to invest in my community, even if that's the local community or worldwide. I GiveCloud allowed I needed to have a job where I knew that my work was going to positively impact others, and that's something that GiveCloud brought. So I was really happy for that
Good.
medium.
Perfect. All right, we have one more thing to cover. Um, you have obviously caught the attention of a lot of really big influencers online. Like you said, if you tallied it up, it would have been $1 million spend for the amount of, hours and work that these influencers put in for you. Obviously, that's something that lots of nonprofits would love to see for their own mission. If you had like one juicy tip about how they can grab the attention of influencers or get them to say yes to helping them further their mission, what would that tip look like?
Yeah, so the nonprofits that we work with have a major advantage that Tegan and I didn't have, and that's that you're a registered nonprofit. So like you're already in many ways a step ahead of us because we never had that status. But what you can do is I would reach out to agencies of influencers and let them know what you're hoping to achieve, what your mission is, and if they have any influencers that are also like looking for collaborations with nonprofits in similar space. Because most influencers will do like 1 or 2 posts a year, or will do some work for nonprofits, and so they might be looking for a homeless shelter to partner with in their local area, and it's a perfect match. So I would just do that, reach out. Additionally, you can go on, it's quite affordable, but for IMBD Pro, you can get an account there, and that's probably my really
Mhm.
juicy tip. You can get an account there for like $40 a month, and you'll have access to everyone's emails.
Oh,
Almost anyone you want, or their managers' emails, and that's where we just rocket fired blasts out with requesting people to join, and if you send enough emails out, someone will eventually say yes. But the key there is to do an exceptional job at storytelling. If you just ask for someone to join your mission, and you keep it pretty factual, they're going to say no because you didn't capture their heartstrings, and that's why they're going to work with you, is because your mission aligns with who they want to support or aligns with something in their personal life. So really important to do an exceptional job in storytelling.
perfect. Those are great tips. I have a free IMDb account, but I didn't know that you get access to all these emails. I may just switch to the paid myself for no apparent reason. Anyway, okay, well those are all the questions that I have. I think this was really valuable and helpful. I can't wait to get it out to our nonprofits, and I really appreciate you taking the time to answer all these questions. It was great.
Pleasure. Thanks, Sam.